How fast should you play through a video game? Is it better to absolutely blast through it because you just can't get enough? Or can you get more enjoyment out of a game if you throw it in the crock pot and let it simmer for a while? Today, right at this very moment, I want to answer that question so you can enjoy your video games to the maximum. Or, just do whatever you want, I don't care. When we were kids, we had all the time in the world to play games. In my experience, this meant frequent gaming sessions where I'd play sun up to sundown and all night long. My friends and I beat entire Halo campaigns on Legendary in a single night many times. And honestly, that was peak childhood. Unfortunately, you and me, we're not in that blissful childhood era anymore with rainbows and sunshine. We're adults in the real world. According to my demographics, at least. I do think it's possible for us to clear out larger blocks of time for gaming if we play our cards right. If you meal prep all your food or order in dinner one night, schedule around social activities, send the kids off to a friend's house, actually take a rest day from the gym, you can do it. In essence, you find a way to substitute a regular time-consuming activity for gaming. Sounds fun. Now, this might not happen all the time on a regular, predictable schedule, but I guarantee you can find those chunks of time. And when you do, game on. Maybe you can finally start that game that's had you hyped for a long time or finish that playthrough you dropped halfway in. Binging games is great for getting immersed into a whole different world. I find that once I get to a certain point in a session, maybe a couple hours in, I completely lose sense of reality. I'm sure an example many of us could relate to is Red Dead Redemption 2. When you start playing for the very first time, you're nothing but a weak-spined city slicker. And then you learn how to ride a horse, and how to shoot a bow, and how to catch a fish, and how to take care of your trusty steed. You taste cold steel and soak the ground in blood. You camp out in the wilderness for days while you hunt. Then you skin your prey, take the pelt back to town, and sell it to fuel your gambling addiction at the casino. When you want to go back home, you hop on the train, get off at your local station, and mosey on back to the main camp. Did I mention all of this takes place in a video game? I almost forgot that myself. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a fantastic game to binge because the world is so believable and the content so varied. You could spend hours at a time touring the map, taking in all the wonderfully crafted scenery with a sense of childlike wonder. Well, that's what I did at least. I swear a significant chunk of my game time was just me robbing trains, reenacting a famous Tom Hanks movie scene.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
And driving the train around the world until the law finally caught up to me. It was like Thomas the Tank Engine, except in the Wild West, and with cold-blooded murder. A lot of fun. I know you stayed up late playing this game for 4+ hours every single night when you got it because it's just that immersive. Forget playing a video game, you're living the life of Arthur Morgan. Now you could play this game slowly, but I think that would lessen the effect it has. If you played for an hour every night over a several-month period, you'd likely have many sessions where you accomplish absolutely nothing in-game. Honestly, this kind of thing has burned me out on a game in the past. I want to feel a sense of progression from the time I pick up the controller and put it down for the day. And Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't the kind of game that can guarantee that in a short session. But it's so gosh dang beautiful to binge. You know what can satisfy that little progression itch? RPGs. These massive games can take upwards of 100 hours to complete, some even more if you get into JRPGs. The difference is that in RPGs, you're constantly making progress. The levels of your party members, the strength of your weapons and armor, the area of the map you're able to access, specific skills like blacksmithing in Skyrim, the list goes on. This genre is purpose-built to take you on a journey from zero to hero, and that involves a whole lot of incremental improvements over time. The Persona series is a great example of this. In Persona 5, you have the levels of your main character and many party members that go up from combat encounters. During combat, you also use personas, imagine that grant you different skills. In addition to leveling these personas up, you can also fuse them together to unlock new ones. On the life sim side of things, you have 5 personal social stats you can raise: knowledge, charm, kindness, guts, and proficiency. You improve these through a wealth of different activities, including part-time jobs, hobbies, schoolwork, and social interactions. Why do we have to do those? These stats help you level up your social links or confidants, which are relationships you have with other characters in the game. There are a ton of these, with 10 levels each, and the different levels give you boosts in combat. Now take all that and wrap it up with a calendar system that takes you one by one through each day of an entire year. Persona 5 is a worldwide web of progression systems. You always feel like you're moving forward in some aspect of the game. In a 1-hour session, you could level up every party member, their personas, a social link, and your charisma skill just by playing the game normally. The feedback loop is incredible, even in short bursts. This type of game is perfect for playing slowly, because you can break it up into hundreds of little chunks of time, but still walk away satisfied from each one. Now on the flip side of the equation, RPGs, especially the longer ones, are horrible for binging. These sprawling, epic adventures across continents and galaxies were never meant to be completed in a few days' time. For many of us, trying to do that leads to burnout, which can ruin the whole experience even for a good game. To go back to my previous example, when I was in the latter portion of Persona 5, I was feeling pretty ready to wrap it up. So I decided to play the whole evening, every evening, instead of just the 1 to 2 hours a night I'd been doing for the last few months. Then on weekends, it was go, go, go. The problem was, because of the new content in the Royal version, I still had another 40 hours to go from where I was in the main story. I was rushing through, admittedly, very repetitive content due to the nature of the Persona series, and honestly didn't really enjoy the final portion of the game all that much compared to everything that came before it. In the same way that you're meant to immerse yourself into the life of Arthur Morgan by binging the game and doing every single little thing he would do in a day, you can also get the greatest enjoyment out of Persona 5 by playing slowly and living out the protagonist's high school life one day at a time. That doesn't mean you need to stop your session every single time you finish one in-game day, but think about how utterly exhausting it would be to experience 2 weeks worth of life in a single rotation of the Earth. Remember that movie Click, where Adam Sandler had a remote he could use to speed through different parts of life? He couldn't remember anything that happened during those fast forward periods. He essentially binged weeks worth of his life at a time because he thought he only wanted to get to the finish line. But it turned out, unsurprisingly, because every single movie needs to have a moral, that the real treasure in life is the journey along the way. Whether it's better to absolutely mash through a game or take it slowly depends on what kind of experience the game wants to be and what kind of person you are. If it's a fast-paced game with tons of variety in the gameplay, you know it's time to go crazy with it and play all night long. Got a whole Saturday afternoon free? I know you got the Doritos and the Mountain Dew and you're gonna go ham. But for those of us with more regular, limited time windows, and people who play long, slow-burning games, it's probably for the best that we take our time.